Hey, this is Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar podcast. Today, I'm comparing two delay pedals, both by Electro-harmonix. First, I've got the Canyon, which is their newer delay pedal, and it's just loaded with features. Tons of fun stuff in there. I could probably spend 2 hours just exploring this thing in a video, and I'm not going to do that to you because that's too long to watch a demo video. Then I've also got the Stereo Memory Man with Hazarai. This thing's been out like a decade. It's a modern classic. You see these on boards all the time. People love them. It's got a ton of great features, and it just sounds really good. So you can't complain about that. I figured let's make a video comparing them, and maybe you're in the market for one of these delays, and this will help you decide. All right, let's start out just with kind of the tonality of them, how they sound. I'll start out with the Stereo Memory Man with Hazarai. This obviously trying to do, like a deluxe Memory Man sort of sound, which is an analog pedal, but this is a delay pedal. And I think it gets pretty good at, it's pretty good at sounding analog. It's got a filter control in there that lets you dial in kind of the brightness or darkness of the repeats. And then there's a decay knob that lets you, control either mods or putting like a splash of reverb on there, and really lets you soften things up and get close to an analog pedal sound. On this setting, it's got the mod engaged, so it's going to be matching kind of the mod that's on the Canyon. All right, let's check it out. And here's the Canyon. They both sound really close to each other in like that style of delay, like this kind of dark but still present repeats that go on for a good amount of time. A lot of analog style delays, I feel like the repeats just aren't there. Like you lose it after like the second repeat, but Electro-harmonix style analog delays, you kind of get a lot more repeats, which I'm a big fan of. I got to say the Canyon seems to have what my memory toy does, which is a favorite delay pedal of mine by Electro-harmonix, is that it adds a bit of like a preamp boost of presence and volume that I'm a big fan of. Like I'll turn the wet mix all the way down on my memory toy and just use it as kind of a preamp because of that presence bump that sounds so good. Don't get that at all from the Stereo Memory Man. It's very, dare I say, transparent in that you don't feel like you're getting any kind of boost off of it. There's no kind of addition to your tone from it other than just the repeats, which is great. I'm sure a lot of people love that and want that. So in that territory, the Memory Man beats the Canyon for sure, because I'm definitely getting some preamp boost colorization from the Canyon, which I don't mind at all. I like it. Let's dive into some other settings. Let's check out the tap tempo. So both of these pedals have tap tempo, which is great. It's an indispensable tool for live players. The Memory Man, it does not have subdivisions. It's just, as fast or slow as you can tap. Let's see how fast I can get it. I got it pretty close to a slap back. Not all the way there, but pretty close. The Canyon, it does have tap tempo. I mean, it has subdivisions. Of course it has tap tempo. But it has 3 subdivisions. I don't know their measurements offhand, but they are there and they're very handy. The quirk with the Canyon is that the tap button is the same as the bypass button, and so when you tap, the pedal is actually off in between those 2 taps, and you got to make sure that you do an even amount of taps or it's not going to be on when you're done tapping, and that's going to be frustrating to you. So there's a little bit of a learning curve with the Canyon, but the tap function is a little bit easier to work with in terms of subdivisions. So let's check this out. I like that little spaceship sound bend in there. I didn't get as close to a slapback sound there, but if I get into the subdivisions, I can get there really quick. So that's pretty good. And this is the fastest subdivision setting. Not bad. Take it back to the regular setting. So something I'm not super fond of with both pedals is that neither of them do the spaceship sounds really well. Let's see what the Canyon does when I dime the feedback and mess with the time knob. You know, it's not really the spaceship taking off sounds that you get from an analog delay at all. Let's see what the Stereo Memory Man does. You get even less play off of that pedal, like it just dumps it the moment you mess with the time knob. So that's a huge bummer to me. I really like making spaceship sounds with my surf rock band and just going weird when I need to. So to not have that available to me in either pedal is a little bit of a bummer. And I guess that's just what you get with these, you know, kind of digital pedals. Although, you know, my Boss DD3 does that just fine. So I don't know what the deal is with these pedals. It's just a different digital architecture, I guess. So don't expect to get spaceship sounds out of either of these unless it's within other settings. You're just not going to be racking the time knob to get that. Let's check out the reverse sounds between these two pedals because they both have reverse, but I feel like the Stereo Memory Man is a clear winner in this department just for one setting on here, and it's not a traditional reverse at all, and that's what I like about it. Check this out. Okay, so on this setting, it's a multi-tap delay. And you hold down the tap switch. I just love that momentary availability of a reverse delay to come in when you want it. You hold down the tap and all of a sudden everything you've been playing swells back to you. You play these big chords and you can have it just all swell back to this dramatic peak. It's just a ton of fun. I'm a huge fan of that setting on the Stereo Memory Man. And the Canyon just doesn't have that setting at all, which is a bummer. It does have a regular reverse, so let's check that out right now. I slopped out of that thing, but you get the idea. There is just a very standard reverse delay on here, which is great. It sounds awesome, but the momentary reverse on the stereo memory man with Hazarai is just so much fun, and it's such a bummer that they didn't transfer that over to the Canyon, because it would have been so great. Even if you had to access it with an external tap or something like that, I would have bought an external tap just to get it that setting, because it's a bunch of fun. Do I keep saying that? I really mean it. There's a reverb setting on both of these pedals, so let's check that out. So in certain settings, the decay knob gives you like a plate reverb on all of your repeats, which is a great sound. Let me dial that in right now. So if you're searching for like an ambient sound, like that's great. The reverb on here sounds really cool. Let's compare it to the reverb on the Canyon. Do a quick compare. There's just something so much more ambient about the Memory Man's version of it, and then the Canyon's version is a little bit clearer, but then you still get that presence bump off of the pedal itself. They sound very similar. There's a very similar thing going on, but there is a sound difference. Use your ears to decide which one you like the best. Weird stuff. Let's get into some of the weird like mod things that you can do with pedals of this type. That's really a lot of fun. I don't hate that at all. It's fun that depending on where you are in the mod cycle, you either get a super short delay on that, or you get this crazy like freak out after it. I'm a big fan of that. That's a ton of fun. Let's see if the Canyon can do something similar in the mod setting. All right, here we go. So I had to get into the secret controls there a little bit to get closer. It does something similar, that's for sure. I think the Stereo Memory Man wins in this department. It just sounds a little bit cooler, a little bit more fun. The Canyon does it, and maybe it can dial it in closer on one of the other settings, or messing with the secret controls a little bit more. But yeah, I think the Memory Man bests it at this. But then diving into the Canyon, there's just so many other settings in here that you can mess with that if you're looking for a very versatile delay, I think the Canyon is going to beat the Memory Man most of the time. I mean, you've got tape delay in there, you've got shim, you've got octave. The octave is crazy. You've got sample and hold, which is a really crazy setting, and then but a couple other standard settings that you're just never going to get out of the Memory Man, and that's fine. It doesn't have to do everything, but it sounds good on its own. The other one sounds good on its own. Who's going to complain? Both of these pedals have a looping function, which is fun. I think the Stereo Memory Man has a compelling argument for being a better looper, in that the loop can be affected by the delay, and then after you record the loop and it's playing back, you can have more delay on your dry playing, on your playing on top of the loop, and then you can keep adding and looping and layering stuff on your loop. The downside to the Stereo Memory Man is that it's only got 30 seconds of loop available to you, where the Canyon has 62, I think. It's definitely over a minute. It's got a long loop in there. Also, the loop on the Canyon, the controls are much closer to what people are used to now with, the little single-size looper pedals like the Dittos by TC and things like that. You just press the button and you're recording. You double tap it to stop, and then you hold to delete. And it's really simple. Everyone's used to that kind of format now. The Stereo Memory Man is a lot more, it's an older system of doing it. I think it's unique to the Stereo Memory Man. I've never used a looper that works this way. But when the pedal is engaged, you hold down the tap switch, and as long as you're holding it down, you're recording a loop. The moment you release it, then the loop starts playing back. And then to delete it, you've got to press the bypass switch to turn off the whole pedal, and then hold down the tap button again to delete it. So it's a little bit, kind of outside the norm as far as controlling your loop. But it works, and you can do some really fun stuff with it. Let's get into a setting right now and try that out. There it is. There's my loop. So you can see you can use all the other reverb settings, delay settings and reverb settings, while the loop is going within the pedal. The Canyon just doesn't do that. When you're on the loop setting on the Canyon, it's just a looper. You can't switch over and select a delay to use on it. You can't use its own delays while recording the loop. So it kind of kills it as a delay pedal when you're using it as a looper, where the Stereo Memory Man, that's a crazy noisemaker right there. You can get really creative with that, but then it doesn't function quite as well as a standard external looper would, like if you had a Ditto or something like that. So that's another hard decision that people have to make if they're choosing between these two pedals. Other settings, is there anything else to cover here? I don't think there is. I think I did it. I think I knocked this one out of the park. If you have more questions about these two pedals, how they compare, ask me in the comments section. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.